Hello, all you wonderful people, and welcome back to another edition of TJ Plays with some AI stuff. In this edition, I want to take us back a little bit, back to the beginning of when I was doing these demos, and the main purpose of these demos was to take an already designed component that was fully fleshed out and ready for development and ran it through some AI tooling. Back then, we were using something that's now called FrameLink, and then we moved on from that to the existing native Figma MCP, which is great. And now we use the Figma Console MCP for all of our component development and have been for a while now. I know the latest hype has been on how it's cool that you're able to write back to design platforms, like to update variables and create designs, and that's all great. The new addition to the native Figma MCP is super cool, and the Figma Console MCP has been doing that for a long time now. And I think it's great because I really appreciate the bi-directional nature of these tools, because sometimes you're caught in the middle and you need to make updates on one side and you also need to keep up with those updates on the other side. But what I want to do in this demo is show some of the advanced tooling that the Figma Console MCP has built into it that really helps take some rather complex components from the design side and then do an excellent job in translating them to production-ready code, really in a one-shot prompt. So just to show you here, I have a fresh Figma, I have a fresh Claude Code instance. I'm connected to this CBDS UI kit demo that's context-based design system demo. And it shows that I'm highlighting on this accordion page. And then I'll just confirm that I am highlighting on the accordion component set. Now, if you look at the component set, it looks like there's a couple of variations. They're small, medium, large, and over here is the expanded version. And then it looks like there's a couple of variants for default, hover, focused, and disabled. So what I want to do, and then this is a Storybook environment here where it's going to eventually land. So what I want to do here is say, we're about to develop the accordion component that you see on this page. And before we do that, what I would like you to do is add an annotation to the hover state for all of the different variations to keep the current hover background color. But when hovered, I would like that background color to pulse to another color. Let me see what color I want it to pulse to. I want to check the variables in there and see what we have available. Let's pulse to the brand. Let's go brand hover, BG brand hover. Okay. So close that out. Pulse to the BG brand hover. And then what I would like you to do is also update the way that the accordions open. So for the small accordions, I would like them to bounce open. For the medium accordions, I would like them to just snap open. And then for the large accordions, I would like them to do like a slow ease in out. Would you mind adding an annotation to each one of those variations as well, noting this? So what I'm asking for the Figma Console, what I'm asking the AI to do through the Figma Console MCP is to use the annotation tool and then take a look at the components that exist here, and then looking at the small, medium, and large. What I want is for when they collapse or expand, I want it to have a certain specific way that they collapse or expand. So I'm going to note that in the annotation for each one of those variations. And then for the hover state, since there's really no way for me to put a spec in here for the way that I want the background to pulsate, I suppose I can add it to a description, but I figured it might work better as an annotation. So let me see where we're at here. All right, so it is grabbing the It's looking for the variable IDs for the specific brand colors, and it's using this Figma set annotations tool that we have available. And then if I go back in here, I should see some annotations being added, and here they are. So here's hover pulse. It says effect smooth pulse, and then breathing feedback on hover. So it looks like it did the same thing, except it's really the same annotation for each one on each one of those states. And then over here, we have more annotations that gives these specific linear equations about how it should ease out. And then it also mentions the pulse effect on these hovers. So that's a decent amount of annotations that it added there. Okay, let's go back to the development of it. All right. Now let's go ahead and develop it. We'll be working within the code base that's located as a sibling directory, and you could find it here. CBDS components. So I'm working from the Figma Console MCP directory, so I just need to tell it to go into another Storybook directory and then look through there and find the component and do all the development stuff. Okay, so we have a tool called Figma Git Component for Development that runs through and does a pretty deep analysis on the component on the Figma side of things. So it's going to gather all of the metadata, it's going to gather all of the component specs, it's going to gather all the information about it. And then there's a couple of other things that it does. It captures all of the token values. It's aware of all of the variable modes that they may be using. And then what it's going to do is look for comparisons, and that's what it's doing here. So it's looking for other components on the same, or other components within the same component library, so that way it can understand like best practices or like the coding methods for how we would be coding these components if we were doing them manually. And then we'll take a look at what's going if it's, so we don't, nothing's, this is where it'll end up being added. These are the components that are in the same directory where it's going to end up. So these are some of the ones that it's likely looking at to understand what best practices are. It's going through and checking all the different patterns, looking at the Figma variant details, and then now it's using the Git annotations function or tool. Okay, and then now it's got everything that it needs. Let's just take a look at what it's saying right here. It has everything I need. Let me build the component. Here's my plan based on the Figma spec. So it recognized that there was a nested structure. So the outer component is the accordion. The nested component within it is a accordion item component. Here's the Figma specs, has the states, the specific tokens that it's going to use, and it read the annotations and stored those, so it should act accordingly as it builds it. And then here comes the TypeScript for the main accordion, as well as the accordion item coming in. Then now it looks like it's starting to get through the styles. Now it's looking through the token mappings and annotations, and then getting an understanding of how those requests should be applied to the coded components. While that's doing that, let's take a look at the code base to see if it's got anything going on in there. Let's see, we got an accordion component that's in here. And it looks like it put the accordion item in there as well. And so we have, it's recognizing that there is an icon component already existing in there, and it's pulling that in, which is great. It didn't try to recreate it. That's excellent. And then here is the main accordion. And then let's see how the stories are shaping up. And this is great. It's using the nested accordion component. You can see that it's importing the component up here. So which means that we should have a story populating in our storybook at some point. Here it is. Okay. So this was not here before. This is here now. This is the default. Let's try the small with a bounce. There's the pulse that we mentioned in the annotation. We probably really wouldn't want this. I was really just showing this for demo purposes. Oh, and there's a little cute bounce. Look at that little bounce. I kind of like that. That's great. Okay, so accurate there. And let's see this medium snap. Oh, and there it is, the snap. No animation at all there. Great. Let's try this large ease in. There we go. That's slick. I like it. And then here's the different variations. One for the subtext, icons, multiple icons, disabled item, ones with no dividers. That's interesting. And then just size comparisons next to each other. Sometimes it likes to do these ones where it's like, look at all the things that we built for you. So Opus likes to get a little extra sometimes. So anyway, let's take a look at the code that it produced in the CSS side of things. So this is great. It even put this like table of contents up here, which I love, because we do this a lot in our other components. So if we look at like some ones that are custom coded, like we'll have these kind of flower boxed comment up here, and then all of these specific types of comments that we do above the majority of our selectors. And it put this wonderful token mapping up here, and then all the different comments that we normally do with all of the custom properties. So this isn't using anything like Tailwind that language models are trained on. It even puts the default values that it maps to right here. So it's super helpful. This is wonderful. To me, this is something that it feels like a product designer could easily pick up and work through. And to me, I feel like it's something that could save a design systems organization a lot of time by going through this process and then doing things like QAing the easing equations, and then like the animation delays, and a lot of things that get caught up with the dev and design cycle, the QA cycle, visual QA cycle, and interaction QA cycle. So anyway, I hope you enjoy this. This is a really cool, we have a bunch of other tools within the Figma Console MCP that helps with development. This wasn't a super complex component, but it did have some nested values in it, and it did have some additional elements to add to the overall composition. So I wouldn't say it was something as easy as an avatar indicator or an icon, but I thought it was something that's really awesome that we can one-shot prompt this. If I wanted to, visually, I'm not seeing anything that's off from this. It looks like it got like nearly identical all the way down to the annotations. But if there was anything that I wanted to zoom in and inspect, of course, I could do that and then iterate on it until it's perfect. And that's something that a designer can do as well. And I feel like that saves a lot of cycles for the development side of things. And then this would be something that can go into a pull request for a developer to then context engineer into what's needed for the production environment. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this. I'll be having more of these demos coming out, and I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.